who are you?
Oh no, it's a big question. I mean, hi, I'm Leigh. The reason I'm always hesitant when people ask that is because it's quite a loaded question, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, hi, I'm Leigh. I'm an animator and writer who usually lives in LA, but due to the COVID nonsense thing a few months ago, me and my husband decided to travel back to Israel because all our family and closer friends live here, and we decided, okay. I mean, it was just right when we heard Tom Hanks has it, I think. We were like, oh, this is serious. Yeah, let's go back home where we have like normal healthcare, and all our family is there in case something bad happens. And yeah, so now I'm in Israel temporarily, hopefully, unless I don't know, the US keeps heading the way it does. Not that here it's any better, but yeah. So what I usually do is animate. I have this YouTube channel where I animate all kinds of parodies and mashups and stuff like that. And I mean, I talk about it so freely as if I have updated it any lately, but I had not. It kind of sits there as a monument of what I don't do. But yeah, right. These days I work a lot as an animator, and I develop shows and write. I wrote for Rooster Teeth, and I actually met Jason, who recommended me for this podcast. Before that, we both worked with Rooster Teeth, and yeah, right now I mostly animate since there's not a lot of work in writing right now. But yeah, I like it. I kind of do all kinds of collaborations and whatever people will give me money for.
What are the three things you value most in life?
Ooh, it changes though. I mean, I'm now in my 30s, so what I value now is not the same things I valued when I was in my 20s. So it keeps changing. But three things, that's a lot, actually. I'm trying to think, what do I value in life? I'm trying to answer it in a very sophisticated manner that isn't just what everyone usually answer when they answer, because everyone says, my family, my friends, and that's kind of, I mean, sure. Yeah, same, but I mean, but I'm trying to have certain bigger keywords that describe the thing that matter to me, that also matter to me and friends and stuff like that. I think lately I value be quiet, quietness. I like when things are serene and quiet. I think it's because when I was younger and all throughout most of my life, I really like big cities and happenings and stuff like that. I'm not much of I'm kind of a nerd. I didn't go to parties and stuff like that. I mean, I never smoked. I drink very rarely. So it was never about that, but I did like, the humdrum of big cities and stuff like that. And I still do, but I'm kind of more drawn to, I'm obsessed with, and I'm not just saying it because you know the general area in which you and Jason live in, but I'm obsessed with London and stuff like that. And now, and I've been there around 6 times. And now when I'm thinking about going to either the UK or Ireland, I'm thinking about I need to go somewhere quiet and green. So I think now I'm mostly about having things like very zen and serene and quiet. Like people ask me what kind of music I listen to. I'm like, I don't. When I'm not working, I just sit in bed and I either listen to ASMR or just kind of stare at the wall and just kind of stuff like that. I think the other thing is honesty. I guess that's something that has been constant all throughout my life. And when I say honesty, I'm not talking about being tactless or in your face, but kind of being honest to yourself and who you are and what it is you want from your own life, and being honest towards who you want in your life. And also being in LA, that run in, treating the whole thing about honesty becomes a little more of a priority, since it's a city in which you need to act very, it's changing, and I do love being there, and I do miss it, and I do want to return one day soon. But it is harsh in terms of, I think younger folks there really try to be a very specific thing, and they kind of lose themselves in the process, and that can happen very quickly, because you want to succeed and you want people to like you, so that can happen. And being there, that kind of made me think the kind of process I want to be doing, the kind of path you want to take towards your goal. And so everything that has to do with honesty, and unto yourself, others to others, honest with other people, because it's like, who has time to not be, like, who has time to it's like, and yeah, it has to do a lot with me growing up in Israel. I don't know if you've ever been or met Israelis, but they're quite blunt to the point of tactlessness, which is it's a different issue that I take issue with. It is harsher for me, like there is living here is people are very obsessed with being truthful at all cost, which is goes to the tactless point. But yeah, obviously being raised here, it's harder for me to not be loyal to the things I want to do. It's harder for me to lie to myself when I'm not having fun, when I'm, everything that has to do with that. Third thing, what else do I value? There's all kind of words I want to say, but all that, like when I want to say aesthetics, but aesthetics is part of quietness, the aesthetic of a quiet environment and cleanliness and stuff like that. If since it's a loaded question to think about a lot, but the more I think about, I think there's other people's paths. I teach now. I teach development and concept development towards writing and TV writing and stuff like that, and TV concept development, short movie concept development. I teach. I have a course, and I teach people how to do that. And I see that as a teacher, I see that different people come from different places and have different problems, and try to, so it's kind of, as a student, the hardest thing for me was that a lot of time our teachers have problems respecting the path that other people take and the thing that they like. I think my experience with art school was a lot of teachers who would tell me stuff like, I don't like this, instead of teaching me, that's fine that you don't like what I do. It's no problem, man. But you still need to teach me how to do it, even if you don't like it. So that, I think, kind of respecting and loving other people for who they are, unless they're like terrible, unless they're like terrible human beings, that, even then it's trying to kind of not respect, but understand the darkness that they come from. The more you grow up, the more you realize that low self-esteem and insecurities bring up and create a lot of the evil in our world. So it's kind of trying to find paths in which how to cure the world from that. It's kind of not respecting people for becoming assholes, but kind of understanding more where that comes from, and being more mindful of how to solve that core, I think, when it comes to
seeing people as like three-dimensional objects rather than the two-dimensional evil.
Yeah, and like, and when it comes to, not the dictators of our world, when I think about, my students and the people that I teach and the people that I'm in front of, trying to understand what it is I can help them with and what it is they need to find themselves, kind of respecting the space and the path of other human beings, I guess, and being there whenever I can and letting go whenever I can't. Because, a lot of us also have problem with, I guess, people pleasing and trying to rescue other human beings. And like, sometimes that's not ours to do. So I'm guessing, started valuing, I think, this idea of, I guess kind of the path that each one of us takes.
Tell me a memory which shaped you.
Ooh, that's a good one. I need to think about it. There's a lot. You know what? There is one that shaped me lately. So me and a couple of people that hired me were talking about relationships and open relationships and stuff like that. And he said something along the lines of like, oh, I couldn't be in an open relationship right now because I'm done with with fucking strangers. Like I'm just thinking about it makes me nauseous. Thinking about all the girls I screwed or all the girls I've been married makes me nauseous. And I remember I was really disturbed by this. Not from a conservative point of view, not at all. Like fuck whoever you want, man. It's more like that he treated it like, this is human beings. You're not supposed to get out of that phase in your life and I'm grossed out by this and I'm so tired. Like he used the word, I'm disgusted by it already. Like I don't, and I'm like, it kind of seems to me that if the thing that you think about is disgusted and I'm so over it, unless you've been through a certain trauma. I have friends who've been through certain traumas with men who say I'm done with men, and I'm like, I get it, girl. But with this guy, it was more like, I'm tired of all that pussy or whatever. That was like, I think you did it wrong. Like, I think if that was kind of, it seemed like not, you didn't have experiences with human beings. You had like, you remember holes, you know what I mean? It's kind of, it disturbed me to the point of, I do believe in all kinds of people having all sorts of connections, intimate connections that don't lead to relationships and, whatever. And I'm a big advocate for open relationships and stuff like that, but hearing, but that kind of changed, the thing he said, experience changed how I view, it kind of clicked for me as to why so much of it, because to me, it was a very conservative thing to say. It was like treating it as something sleazy, something secret, something that is, I'm tired of that world. To me, it has a certain aura of conservativeness around it, because it's kind of not treating these people as human beings that I was in a certain sexual relationship with. It's kind of like, that gross time is past, and it kind of clicked for me as to, this is what I don't want. This is why people view it as so disgusting. It's people see it as sleazy and something I don't want to do, and it clicked for me why for a lot of people, conservative people or whatever, youth and sleeping around is associated with feeling lost and feeling like I hadn't found the one, and because you're not doing it in the right way. You're doing it to fill a certain gap in your heart or whatever, or you're doing it like, this is after all a certain connection that you have with other humans. So even though, so it didn't change how I viewed that, because that's always how I saw it, but it kind of made me vow to myself never to let people feel like that, like they're being treated like they're filling something in my life. And also, this is what I don't want people to see sexual and open relationships as, so it didn't change what I felt, but I think it framed it in a better light of what it is I think people should be looking for and what it is I'm looking for when I think about relationships, even if they're not sexual. You know what I mean?
What's your favorite color?
Oh, you know what? So there's actually a history behind it. When I was a kid, it was pink. And then I started hating pink because, patriarchy and oh, I'm supposed to like pink and I don't want it to be girly girl anymore. So now I like purple. And purple is a gorgeous color that I still love, but it is associated to me with, the next best thing to what I actually like. But I stopped liking because I felt forced to like it. Now I'm back to liking pink. Purple is a gorgeous special color that still, when I see stuff in lilac and purple, it's like it really excites me because it's special and it's, I think I like pink and purple for different reasons. I think I'm more drawn to pink. I think it's warmer, and I am talking about like gentle, not hot pink, like gentle, soft, warm pink is my night color, I guess.
Tell me in as much detail as you can about
Ooh.
something you knew of which once existed and now does not.
Wow. Once exists and not. I mean, I'm thinking about my dad is very technologically inclined. He's a music technician and he's very much into new technology. So at our house we always had the newest technology. Like we had Laserdisc before everyone had, and we still had it when it went out of the world. But we also had the first DVD that cost a lot. Like we had stuff very fast. So there's a lot of technology that is kind of obsolete or people not use anymore. I remember, I can talk about what I miss. I miss like 90s anime. 90s, I just, the style, the genres. Like when I was first introduced to anime in the early 2000s, the stuff that I watched is, stuff that older, teenagers and 20-year-olds that I knew from like forums and stuff like that at the very early stage of the internet would send me, like Ranma and Tenchi Muyo and and Evangelion and stuff like from 90s and late 90s that rocked. That was like really good animation and really gorgeous styling and very like interesting fantasy. And I don't want to be one of those, oh, anime is shit now, like all these people, but it has changed in certain, in I think the 2010s, a very specific style became very prevalent, like moe, and I don't even know how to describe it, like very cutesy, big eyes. Like anime is always big eyes, I know, but it's like there's a very specific style that kind of became very, the tone of most stuff. It's changed now. I know that that world is very changed, but like 90s stuff like Sailor Moon and Ranma, and early 2000s stuff like One Piece also, which I really liked. I don't know if I can talk with much detail because it's been a while. I was very into it, but most all these shows, it just had a certain animation quality that kind of drew me into loving animation so much. That kind of shaped a lot of what I love now. I can't say it's not here anymore because anime still exists, but that specific lightning in a bottle 90s period of anime is just not it anymore, just not there anymore. And I think a lot of younger nerds who kind of wanted something very different that they couldn't found something in anime that kind of provided them a certain solace for their lives. I think anime had a lot of theme of found family, which became very popular in American television in the 2000s when, family shows and stuff like that kind of was not really as popular. So it was kind of like workplace comedies that became found families. In anime, it was a lot of time like, a bunch of people who kind of have to stick together now, and they become each other's family. So I think for younger lonely nerds, that was very cool and that's just, that kind of feeling is something that I think Western animation for kids is starting obviously to be influenced by, because the nerd kids are now grown-ups and they make animation, but still I want to see more of. So it's like it's gone, but it's kind of shaping up in a different way, maybe.
I've watched 14 episodes of Evangelion.
That was rough.
I don't like. Apparently, people tell me that after the episode that I've watched, it gets insane, and I'm like, it's already
insane.
Mad. So what? Why? How can it get worse?
For me, Evangelion, is good. It's really good, but it didn't grab me as strongly as it did others.
Oh, it imprinted itself on my head, and I'm like, so whenever I go to watch something anime, I don't really watch a lot of anime. I'm like more of a comic booky nerd.
That's fine.
Yeah. But whenever I go to watch anime, I'm like, I should probably finish this amazing series. Yeah. But
it's fun. Yes, but if it's hard for you, you don't have to. There's a lot of other stuff.
What, if anything, is perfect?
Nothing. Yeah, I think nothing is perfect, and that's what's perfect about it. And I know it sounds very zen and very new age, but I have the receipts. I mean, the reason I'm saying that is because I always have conversation, because I am a film, TV, art lover, but I'm also a fangirl. And I'm also like very big in the fandom and fan fiction and fan art world. And I always say to people, and I say it to different people, I say it to people from the fandom world, and I say it to people from the movie world, I will not treat it in the same way. Like, when I critique a certain piece of art, movie, TV, whatever, I am the movie lover. I am the critic. When I fangirl over it, I'm going to be the fangirl. I'm going to treat it in a different way. And the reason I'm talking about that in relation to the discussion about perfection is because, to me, as a fangirl, I think that's true to a lot of people who are drawn to fandom. I think what we love about it is that it's broken, is that it's not perfect, is that there's a lot to repair there. I think the obsession towards those fandoms comes from, there's a lot to be said that hadn't been said. There's a lot of stuff that, I wish this was a little different. I wish there's a lot of, even if you don't feel that, even if you don't, know that, you feel that with, I need to read that fan fiction, and it doesn't even have to be a fix-it fan fiction for the show. It can be just, I have this unfinished business feeling in my heart, and I need to read that to kind of quiet that down. Most of the fandoms that are the most popular and obsessed over that I've seen, that I obsess over, belong to creations that are incomplete. And a lot of my favorite movies, even as a film lover, are films that I feel are incomplete. But I feel that with that, they also had a certain quality and gut to do something that we had not seen before. I just had a conversation about the Umbrella Academy with a friend about the 2 seasons. Have you seen any of them?
I watched the first season of the Umbrella Academy. I thought it was really, really good, but it didn't motivate me to watch the second, because I was like, I really enjoyed this. It had some really clever characters and a lot of clever situations which set up for a future one.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if I never finish this season, it's
fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Well, I was obsessed with it. I loved it. And now we see the second season, and a lot of our film critic friends and, TV writers. For somehow I'm friends with a lot of TV writers, not writers for TV, but critics for TV and movies, journalists. And a lot of them keep talking about how the second season is a lot better than the first because it's a lot more well built and things fall into place better. But that's exactly why I thought the first season was actually more special and interesting, because it kind of broke the mold. When I say perfect, when I say it wasn't perfect, it's not it wasn't good. It's that, yeah, it had some weird gaps. Yeah, the pacing was a little different from other television landscapes, and things didn't always land into place, but actually they did. I think it was more special in terms of how they showed characters. It was more special in how they created the pacing for a lot of the scenes. It was a lot more interesting in how things fall into place without it feeling too planned. Like, I don't know, I'm thinking about Klaus stealing the suitcase and then opening the suitcase and then finding himself in 1969 and then, having this love affair and then, traveling to our place. So it feels like out of nowhere, but it's not. It had to happen. And I think, I think that cleverness, I watched it twice, and that cleverness of, you may think this is messy, but it's not actually. So, and the second season, you hadn't seen it, so I won't say too much about it. It felt a little too orderly. It felt a little too, this makes sense, it's like it turned a certain character into this, and it's hard for me to say without spoiling, and I don't want to spoil, but a lot of the solutions there felt too easy. Like it felt like it just felt too easy, unlike the first season that might have not felt as perfect, but a lot of its solutions, ideas, and introductions felt like some stuff that I hadn't seen before and really excited me. And so I think that, with everything I said, like the Avengers is very big in fandom, and the It movies, and a lot of these things are not perfect, but they had a certain spark to them and certain special qualities to them that made people really excited about them. I think about that also in the sense of when I think about camp movies from the 70s and stuff like that. My favorite movie is Barbarella. Have you ever watched it?
I haven't seen the movie in its totality, but
that's fine.
in the osmosis of the internet, I've managed to pick up.
Yeah. I really recommend it because I personally love camp. It's not for anyone who, for people who are, don't like stuff like that. I love it because it doesn't take itself seriously, as it's insane. And among all the camp and, maybe bad, I'm doing air quotations here, bad filmmaking moments that it has some of the most clever, interesting, subversive ideas I've seen in film. So there's a lot of perfection in stuff not being perfect. It's also when you think about people, and like the people that you think are the hottest and the prettiest and the most perfect are the people that, he has a weird looking eye, and that guy has weird teeth, and that guy has hair like that. But, but still, those, like, air quotations, imperfections are perfect. This is why you don't think about a person you like and think, oh, they're perfect. You think about the person you like and you think, I love that little beauty spot they have underneath their eye, and I love how their eyebrows are not the same height, and stuff like that that what makes you fall in love with people.
Who is your favorite character from fiction of any kind, and why?
Oof, my favorite character, there's a lot. Honestly, it changes. Like now I'm obsessed with Klaus from Umbrella Academy. So now your Irish accent also, like I'm hearing a lot of, a lot of interviews with Irish actresses and actors, and I'm like, oh yeah, I like it. It's kind of like this is now my phase. I used to have like a Scottish accent phase with Kelly MacDonald and David Tennant and stuff like that, and now I'm into this accent.
I don't even hear my own accent. Do I have a
No,
strong Irish
obviously
accent?
you have an accent. It's not like that I can't understand you. It's like I know where this girl's from. Like I know where this person is from. I know whenever I hear like I don't know, Scottish accent, and like, oh, I know where they're from, unless it's like very 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 like hard Glasgowian
Glaswegian?
accent.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Glaswegian, that's what you said. When it's like the very harsh like Irish. It's like, oh, okay, this chick is talking a certain, I don't know where she's from, but like, but no, like I detect it. There are certain things that like certain accents that where's this person from? I think usually Swedish people, they don't have very strong accent always. I'm talking about those people, those guys and girls who like it's not very harsh. The Swedish, not the ones that. Never
yeah.
mind.
If
You know what I mean.
the top of what I find is people from like, let's say, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, those countries seem to have just like, of course, they have their regional dialects, but
Yeah.
the people who have the soft spoken versions of those accents
Yeah,
kind of sound the
I
same.
also like they know English really well.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like their media is English, so it's like they're fine. But I mean, but yeah, sometimes I detect an accent and I'm like, oh, okay. But I mean, so yeah, so like I have certain obsessions with certain characters. But I think whenever I think about a favorite character, I really like Tinkerbell from Peter Pan, because it's something like that. Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. I'm talking about not they kind of made a Tinkerbell extended universe there. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Tinkerbell from the OG Peter Pan of Disney. I like. I just I'm enchanted by this character because it's one of the few female Disney characters that aren't villains, that are not perfect. Speaking of perfect and not perfect, she is jealous and she is annoyed and she knows what she wants and she's very opinionated. And really try to think about female characters in Disney even today, like they do not get that dirty ever. Like they never they have a problem with dirtying them up. Whenever I think about male characters who are protagonists in Disney, they usually they're fine with kind of making Aladdin kind of a little bit of street rat and stuff like that, and in Emperor's New Groove you have Cusco, who is a little shit, and a lot of protagonists. But when it comes to female characters, it's very rare to see a female character like from the good side, even though Tinkerbell, she has a lapse of judgment there, that are actually more human. And maybe the only one I can think about is that
Princess
I
and the
don't know.
Frog.
In
Yeah.
the Prague. So there's her friend, her best friend, the blonde. They have thing with blondes, I guess. Her blonde friend. She's also a little like ditzy, and she's kind, but she has a little more spice to her. So that's a little fun. But still, Tinkerbell. I like that character so much. And I like pixie characters in general, but specifically I like her so much because she is very of her time in terms of her design, which is awesome. Like she's kind of this little sexy pixie kind of character, which is also rare in Disney. But also, she has a character, and I don't know, I like that. There was something about that character that I was always drawn to her. I think I bitched on Instagram about a year ago, or a year and a half ago. I think it was like a year or 2 years ago, a year ago, when I was in Disney World and I saw a lot of Tinkerbell merch, and she was really sweet in a lot of them, and I'm like, I want to bitch Tinkerbell. I want her like angry or like or pouty, and like none of it was that, and that's annoying to me. I don't like the new Tinkerbell lore of turning her into like this sweet non-character.
What fascinates you?
I love talking about why we like the things we like. I'm very excited about that because it seems like something so It makes sense. I like it because I like it. Everyone likes that. But it's like, no. But let's talk about why. It can range from, oh, because, my mother used to wear colorful clothes when I was a kid, so I love colors now. I don't know. Like it can be psychological and, from youth or from, human experience in general. Like it makes sense that we love trees. Everyone loves trees, that's, yeah. But it's still interesting to discuss, but why exactly does this form of media excite me? Why did that joke make you laugh more than the other jokes? Why does this person love this show so much? Why am I so excited about that character? And the reason I can dissect it so much is because I'm obsessed with it. And that's what I do all the time. When I'm really into something, I pause and I'm trying to think, oh fuck, why is that so exciting to me? I think not so long ago, I was talking to a friend about, have you ever seen Ferngully?
No.
Okay, no one fucking watched that. Ferngully is a movie from the early 90s. I think it's an Australian movie. It's from the early 90s. It really tried being Disney. It failed. It wasn't very popular. It wasn't very, successful. But it had a cult following, and a lot of young girls that I knew, a lot of my friends or, people I met later on, like around 25 to 35, maybe more kind of age group, maybe 25 is a little young, but still around that age group that saw it when they were kids, some of them are like, I watched it, I didn't love it, and some of them were like obsessed with it. Now it's not a great movie, and it's like it wasn't very popular. So it's like, why were we obsessed with it? And a lot of, for me, for a lot of my friends, it was kind of like, this is, we were kind of lonely nerds who were very desperate for a sense of female control and for a sense of something special and different. And that it's a movie about this pixie fairy sort of character that lives in a pixie fairy sort of world, and they protect a rainforest, and one day there's this dude who comes to cut down some trees, so she's trying to cast him away, but her magic accidentally makes him small. And then he's being introduced to the whole, world, to the whole like rainforest world, and like, oh, I need to change and stuff like that. But it's still not from his eyes, it's all from her eyes. So it's really special. It's like from her eyes of, she's seeing him change, and and it's not a movie really about him learning to be a better person. It's a movie about her learning how to be a better sorceress and mentor, and that's really fucking special. And her having powers is really fucking special. And like I'm like, when Frozen became a thing, I'm like, I know exactly how you feel, girls. I know exactly. Like, this is it. It's really fun seeing a girl with powers, and it's really fun. But the difference is that I thought it was so special. She's trying to teach someone something, and it's actually, the movie is about her trying to reach her full power potential. So it was just like, so for us and everyone I know who was obsessed with it, but also obsessed with anime and magical girls and stuff like that. So it makes sense. But still, it's like, I remember just seeing, I think it was like Nostalgia Critic or something, who really like bashed that movie, and I was like, and I was like, but he's right about everything here. So why am I offended? And then I thought about, exactly that thing of, yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but it has so many wonderful qualities. So to me, it's amazing. It's kind of how I feel about The Road to El Dorado. Have you ever?
Oh yeah, love that movie.
The Road to El Dorado fucking rocks. Yeah. But it's not a great movie. I mean, it has a lot of problem. It has like, antagonist that makes no sense, and a mentor figure that makes no sense. A lot of stuff that happens. It's like, why is Chell really interested? Why does Chell know about gold when none of the other people know about gold? What does she want? A lot of answers are being announced, but what a fucking great movie.
It slaps. Start to finish, that movie
exactly
rocks.
It's like, first of all, and I think a lot of people that love that movie, despite, and it failed miserably. Like, it's DreamWorks' most failed movie, but it has such a cult following because it's sexy, and that was not something in movies. And and you have these two main figures that are not like Disney princes and are not like other male figure. Like there's something very rugged and sexy and interesting about these characters, and and they're like crooks, but they're not, and it's really fun. And Chell is like whoa, and and everything that happens there, and the dialogue, everything is just so fucking fun. And it's very attractive to a lot of people. Not to mention, like, it's very queer in a sense, and it's very like bisexual represents sort of dynamic going on there. So I think for a lot of people it was like there was a very special sense there that maybe the mainstream media did not see. So that's why it still has that kind of cult following. So like cult following, people need to understand, I think, is that we see something in the movie that mainstream media did not see, that, we ought to preserve. It's not just like, a lot of people say, oh yeah, The Room is also a cult movie. But I don't see The Room in the same sense there, because The Room is like 100%, look how bad this is. But this is not how we love Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is not how we love, Ferngully or The Road to El Dorado. It's like, yeah, we know it's not perfect, but we just fucking love this movie. So it's like,
it's good because we think it's good and we have identified things, whereas The Room is good because people find it fun. It's enjoyable to watch, which is not the same thing.
Fascinated about why we love certain things and why certain things become cult, why certain things become that. That's why I'm really, really excited about camp in general, because a lot of it is that. But yeah.
What is the most valuable thing you've ever learned?
A lot. I'm trying to think of what valuable that made me either a better person or made me understand certain things. I think in general, dissecting yourself, understanding yourself. I think just understanding that you're not just who you are because. It's kind of like, I had a friend who said, I'm not going to talk too much of it because it's a private thing, but, they said something about themselves, and I said, but there's a good chance that the reason that you're like that is because maybe that's something that blah, blah, blah with your parents. And, and the first thing she said, no, I don't want to blame my parents. And I'm like, no, I'm not into blaming your parents. It's more like, they were your first experience with the outside world. Like they were your world for a big chunk of your life. So obviously, the things that you learned in that experience shaped up the person that you became. And I think understanding that makes you forgive yourself a little more. I think understanding that makes you understand how to improve yourself. I think learning that you're not just, this is who I am and that's it. I think also I heard a lot of people say stuff about, oh, they're just, why are they so insecure? Why are they so hard on themselves? Oh, they're just artists. All artists are like that. I don't accept this. Talk to yourself. Understand why you're so insecure. Not everyone who holds a paintbrush is insecure. No, I'm sorry. They have a tendency to be more sensitive. They have a tendency to be more, we have a tendency to be more sensitive, to be more alert to things that make us maybe depressed. I think a lot of this is true, but your tendency to be depressed, your tendency to be, a lot of these things, it comes for a certain reason, be it psychological or medical. And, it's worth a shot to find out where that comes from and either try to repair it, or learn how to deal with that, or learn how to cure it. With pills. And, it's more like, I think the valuable thing I learned is this isn't you. And when I say this isn't you, it's not taking responsibility. when I discovered about myself that I'm this, and that, the first thing I did while curing myself is to go to people and say, hey, I behaved like this to you for an entire year. This is the reason, but I'm not making any excuses. I'm here to apologize that I've been a jackass. So it's like, it's not taking responsibility, is kind of understanding yourself. So I think, I won't say going to therapist. I think understanding your first years in the world, your collective trauma that you came from, it makes you forgive people more. Like, I'm going to forgive, someone's dad I know that is a hoarder, and he's a hoarder because his dad is a Holocaust survivor, and he was, obsessed with never losing, never, always preserving things, and, he got that collective trauma. So it's like, it's understanding, I understand where this person comes from.
If you could name a hot sauce, what would you call it and why?
It's interesting, since I'm not that savvy in hot sauces. Like, I'm a Tabasco girl, and that's it. And I don't know. It's not like an industry over here. I remember when I was in Austin, in Texas, I saw, it was actually with Jason. We went into a store filled with hot sauces, and I was so intimidated. It's not that I don't like hot sauce. I love it, but I'm still like, this is new to me. I feel like a kid. Like, this is scary. I'm sure it feels like it exists, but I always, there's three things that come into my mind. The first is, I always wanted to name something after, there's the scene in The Mask where he starts singing Cuban Pete.
Oh yeah.
They call me Cuban Pete. I love this scene. So I always wanted to name something Cuban Pete with his, like face on it with the maracas and stuff like that. I love it. So maybe that. Also, the other thing is, I'm obsessed with Stefan from SNL. Bill's hater portrayal of Stefan. Yeah. And there's one, he always talks about clubs and stuff like that. The New York's hottest club is, so there's one that is named Spicy, and he said, like, spicy. Like, this New York's hottest club is spicy. So I always want, so like putting his face, like Stefan's face, and writing spicy. And the third thing is, it's each one of them is like copyright infringement. It requires like, them to agree to that. The third thing is, I don't watch South Park anymore because it's just like, I'm not into that anymore. But, I started watching it when I was super young because a kid, because our parents in Israel don't give a shit what their kids watch. And I remember, how old was I when the movie came out? Let me see. Was it 98? 99. So I was probably 12, I think. And I think 12, and I watched the South Park movie, and I'm still obsessed with it. I think the movie is really great. And the Terrence and Phillip movie, have you ever watched it?
Oh God, yeah. I've seen basically everything. Yeah.
Oren is my husband, and we love this movie because it's so stupid and it's so awesome. And there's this, they go to the movies, and they go to the Terrence and Phillip movie, and it's called Asses of Fire. It's so funny. That's how I'd call Hot Spice, maybe, with that drawing of them or something. It's like it's a movie, so it has an epic title and an epic number, and it's so good. So yeah, so either Q and Pete, Asses of Fire, or Spicy by Stefan. Yeah.
What is your most prized physical possession?
I mean, I would guess my eyes. They're kind of big. I mean, now they look kind of tired just because I am tired, and we're in this, and usually I put eyeliner and everything. I guess eyes, I've been told stuff about my eyes a lot. But in general, I kind of like most of myself. I mean, I'm like, this is good. Like, this is good, because I think in my 20s, I had about a year and a half ago a breast reduction. My boobs really big, and I really hated it, and it was really it was just not me. I would look in a mirror and I was like, what is this? Like I would actually like walk. I mean, I'm talking about years. I'm talking like 10 plus years of, I was like a G cup that was like fucking big, and I would like walk with friends, and I would look at the not a mirror, like store,
A
like a star,
storefront.
yeah, like a storefront or something, and I would see, and I was like, whoa, like I would be like, not who is this, but kind of this. That doesn't make sense. Does this make sense to you? That doesn't make sense to me. Like this is not. I'm not a big boob person. Like like every time I would see, I think like anime, big boobs and stuff like that, and I would see it, and I would be like, this doesn't, no, that's not me. I'm like a tiny boob person. I'm like, and it, like, it's like it was really weird. And I think for a while, I felt very disconnected from myself because of that. And it wasn't just that in general, society, body image, everything sucks. But specifically, that just made me very like, I detached from my body, and that was like, and for me, it was just like, oh, I'm just being spoiled. Oh, I just don't like myself. I need to get over it. And that's why for a while I didn't do anything, until I think I went to a certain therapist who said, like I told her, this is something I think I want to do, but I want to talk to you about it for a while before I go to do that surgery, to make sure it's done from the right reasons. And at some point we were just, this seems like the right thing to do. Like, not just because, it actually has like, very bad physical, I hurt your back, lady. And like I was like, and when I went to the doctor, she also agreed, like, yeah, it was like very, very agreed upon that I should do it. So after doing that, it's weird to be in my 30s and feel like this is the first time that I'm feeling like this is good. And it's not like, a lot of people say, oh, with age you become more forgiving to yourself. It's not that. It's just like, it's kind of like the first time in my life that I'm feeling very in my body, and I like it. And like, when I did that, it's not the same at all, I know, but I had a friend who went through, I don't know what it's called. He transitioned and he removed them.
Oh,
How,
mastectomy.
yeah, as soon as I can remove them. So we kind of went through the same, through something similar during, a similar time. And obviously it's not the same thing at all. Obviously, like, it's a different kind of psychology, it's a different kind of procedure. But our experiences made him feel a little better, just because there was someone who sort of shared a certain experience that he could identify with. And that was, we both talked about that relief of, this makes sense now. Obviously, I went through something very specific, and they went through something very different and very specific in terms of, how society views it and how they view themselves, and I view myself. But still, it was nice sharing, talking about, wow, this is very different. Like, like I still, oh, I want to lose 5 pounds. Oh, I wish my hair was like this, but it's not the same. I don't want to leave the house because I can't stand looking in the mirror, kind of, like, oh, no, I'm not stepping out of the, like, so it's like you ask that questions, and I want to say my eyes, but I also want to say, just, I very like being in my body right now.
What inspires you?
I'm trying to think how it's called in English, actually. I'm one, there's a certain movie festival here, of films, short films. So I was one of the person who judged which animated shorts get in. Those people, those assholes that kind of should, rates the short. I'm not gonna ever do that again because it made me feel like a huge asshole. But whatever. But I watched that. I just watched that before our conversation. All the short movies. There weren't many because a lot of people couldn't finish it because of the situations, everything. But from the ones I went, there was one that just blew my fucking brains out. It was just so pacey and funny and nothing like I've ever seen in Israel specifically. And it was just so special and interesting that I'm happy until this moment. I can't stop thinking about it. And so I think it's just new art, new TV, movies, new ways to create stuff like that really like blow me away. There's like, when it doesn't have to be, again, perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the best, but if it has something that is very accurate, that is very new, that is very cool, like, something that kind of captures my brain, something that feels new in art really, really inspires me.
Did you ever have an epiphany? If so, what was it about?
A lot of the epiphanies I have aren't related to I should be doing this. It's more like I should buy a boat. It's more like epiphanies as to why I like something. Epiphanies as to, is this the route I want? Yes, because. So I think when I was finishing art school, and in art school, there was a huge pressure to do dramatic animation, talk about yourself, specifically in Israel, a lot about the occupation, about the war, like, wars and stuff like that, a lot about the world, the country we live in, stuff like that. I was also always very drawn to comedy and creating comedy. But I was also drawn to other stuff, but I didn't want to create them. So I didn't really know what it is I want. I knew what I wanted to be doing, which is, comedy, but I didn't know what is the right path, what I'm better at, and what is like the, at the time, I would say the appropriate path. Like, do I want to just do comedy? Because, I was, trained for 4 years that comedy is, is beneath me, which is stupid, obviously. Fuck these guys. I met my partner then, who is my husband today, Oren, around that time when I finished art school, and he still studied film. And I kind of, sometimes I would sneak into his classes because I knew the other students, in Israel, small, everyone knows everyone. So I kind of knew, and they let me, no one cares. So we had a class where they watched famous, movies that either changed cinema, or depending on the teacher, what he wanted to show. So at one class, he showed Sullivan's Travels. So it's a movie from 1941 about this guy who is trying to make a serious movie. Like, all of his life, he's been making stupid comedies, and now he wants to make his first serious movie, a movie about the Depression, because it takes place in the Depression era. It's like a movie about that, and and he wants to call it "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which is where the Coen brothers took the name. And it's like they made the movie, but it's not, but and he's like, he's really obsessed with making this, and his manager and everyone around him, but you make comedy so well, where do you want to make a drama now? And I want to make a serious film, I want to make a serious picture. And then he wants to make a film about homelessness in that time period. And he was like, to make that film, I'm going to dress as a homeless person and, as a vagrant, and walk around America like that. And I'll write down my experiences. But what happens is that he is mistaken for, I don't know, like a crook or something, and he's being taken to jail, and no one knows where he is because he didn't take any, he didn't tell anyone what was constant contacts are, no iPhone at the time. So it's like he's lost in a prison somewhere. And there's this scene there where, You know, in the prison there, they work, they're like cheap labor. They're very tired and very sad, and it's like, it's prison, it sucks. And then there's this one moment where they take them to watch a movie. Like all the prisoners are sitting down, and it's a comedy. I think it's even one of his comedies. I'm not sure. It's a comedy, and he sees all these sad men who like really hate their life finally laughing for the first time and being happy. And eventually, you know, they find him and you know, bring him back to Hollywood. And he says, I don't want to make Oh Brother, Where Art Thou anymore. I want to make a comedy again because, you know, some people, that's all they have. And I want to make them happy. And I was like, ding! I was like, yes, I'm going to stay there. I'm going to stay in comedy. It wasn't like really, ooh, I want to make comedy because of that. It's like knowing, okay, yeah, like this is it for me.
If you could say all of your work had a theme, what would that theme be?
I love bringing characters down a peg. And it doesn't mean like, oh, you're not that great. It's more like breaking the epicness, breaking the, you know, people taking themselves or others too seriously. That's also the characters I love. Like, you know, one of my favorite Marvel characters is Loki, and that's exactly what's being done to him. Oh, chillax, man, relax, man. Let's bring it down. Like, you know, and yeah, I think about my parodies. I love parodying serious stuff because that breaks certain seriousness. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, when I mashed together certain shows, it's kind of breaking that tension of that character, be that tension, I'm stuck in a dramatic world, or I'm very dramatic, and my creations usually kind of break that drama and make it funnier or you know, easier or more light. I'm thinking about shows that I want to make. I have a pilot on my YouTube channel called Valentina Our Time Travelers. That's a show that we're trying to sell right now. And in the style and tone, we write a lot about how these girls are going to meet a lot of epic, you know, people from history. And, you know, and we're going to see them for the stupid fucks that they really are, you know, and for the, you know, they're human beings and they act like, you know, it's kind of like not, it's never, oh, you're not that great unless they deserve it. But more like, you know, eventually nothing is that epic. We're all stupid and we all have traumas and we all have, you know, those stupid moments. So it's all about breaking the expectations of very big, very epic scenes or epic characters. And that's very Israeli, I feel, because no one here is, I think the biggest thing, the biggest essence and feeling here is, who the fuck do you think you are? You're from here. It encapsulates everything. It's like, it's the obsessiveness of Israelis to see, you know, a trailer just came out for Death on the Nile, Kenneth Branagh's new film, and Gal Gadot is there. And the first thing I heard someone say, like, a friend was watching the video, was like, oh, she still has an accent. it's like, oh, she's not Hollywood, she's from here. It's like there is an obsessive tendency to catch other Israelis on their, not on their act, like, oh no, I hear the accent. Oh, she's still part of us. It's like, who the like, you know, someone else, like, I don't know, even me, that I make, you know, those American videos, like, who do you think you are? You're still one of us. It's like, so I think it comes from there, from the, we're all simple assholes, and, you know, in the end.
What makes you smile?
Like aesthetics, flowers, you know, it's like, what makes me smile? It's very adult, not adult like PG, you know, like, you know, PG-13 or something. It's like adults, like, I don't remember being as excited when I was a kid about that, but just, we rearranged our house in the last couple of days because it was really in a big mess. And now just going to the bathroom, and you know where everything is, and everything is orderly, and just when stuff makes sense and they're easy, not easy because it was hard to get to that point, but makes sense, effective, not, I'm trying to find the word, like when things are exactly where they are and it's easy to reach, and it brings me a sense of comfort. It's convenience, that's the word I was looking for. Yes, convenience is something I never looked for before, but when you have it, you understand. And not convenience that, oh, my parents bought me this, more like I cleaned the house, I put everything in order, and it's convenience by me, and I'm very happy about it. Stuff like that.
How do you feel about death?
When I was a kid, I had a big death, not trauma because it didn't come from anywhere, but I was like obsessively scared of death. Like I was the kid who in the class, if like for some reason I was really scared of the planetarium. So planetarium, right? It's the one with the space, yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever like there was like 2 trips in one year, a specific year to a planetarium, so it's like it was known where Leigh stays home, when that happens, because she's terrified of space and terrified of nothingness, terrified of space, terrified of dying. It was like, around I think 7, I figured out, I found out what it means. Like, oh, you're not coming back and you're dead, and that like freaked the fuck out of me. And so it was something that I couldn't go to cemeteries. Like it was like I could not. I don't know what I couldn't watch horror, and death and horror didn't disturb me as much. I think just because it was like honest about it. I don't know. It was like, yeah, people will die in this horror movie. Obviously, 7-year-olds don't watch that much of it. When I accidentally watched it, it didn't bother me so much. Dark comedy scared me. Death Becomes Her, Mars Attacks, stuff like that. That freaked the fuck out of me as a kid, because it was like, they're dying, why are you all laughing? So it was like that was, but today it's different. Today I love dark comedy. Today I'm like fine with cemeteries, and it's very sexy to me. It's very interesting. It's become more Danse Macabre and Death and the Maiden, and more alluring and interesting, rather than, which is also, it's a different way of handling death, I'm guessing, instead of head on. But still, that's me at the moment. Like it's more kind of an alluring, sexy, interesting sort of relationship.
If you were on a starship, what position would you hold?
I'd probably be a kind of leader. I think working on those animations, working on stuff that I'm being hired for, working as a writer, I'm very, very comfortable. I'm very comfortable being hired, but I'm also very comfortable like being the boss of what I do. Even when I'm hired, I'm still the boss of telling people I need to hire a background designer, I need to hire this. I know exactly what my vision is. They help me, but still I let them give me ideas if they have. I kind of stumble into the role of the boss, understanding that I've always been very confident and a sort of leader, and very confident in that role, and very good with talking to employers and stuff like that, and employees. So it wouldn't be my gut reaction to say that a few years ago, but that seems appropriate nowadays.
If you could give just one piece of advice, what would that be?
Know thyself, like understand why, ask yourselves questions about why are you the way you are, because a lot of people I know who either act in a certain way, negative way, not negative way, or suffer a lot. And I'm saying suffer in a way that, let's say, medically they can't be helped, but they need to understand themselves better and know what to say in therapy or whatever. In a lot of these cases, I'm begging them in my mind, because talking to them doesn't help anymore, begging them to please ask yourselves why you act this way. Ask yourself why this bothers you so much. Ask yourselves all these questions, because the answer could be, this bothers me because the world, why are we bothered by sexism? It doesn't have a very complicated psychological weight behind it. It makes sense to be bothered by that. But I'm asking, why specifically are you so scared of your parents? Why specifically do you feel entitled to that person's time? Why do you feel, with the bad and with the good, why do you feel ask yourself, why do you react the way you act? Why do you feel the way you feel? Some of the answer could be because the world, we need to save the world right now, and whatever. Some of these will be, what, I thought about it, I think it's something. Now I see the state of the world and I want to do this and that. But also you might come out with the answers that can make you feel more healed. Like, oh, I think this bothers me because when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. Dive in. Don't be scared of that so much, and ask those questions, and try not to answer with, because that's just the way it is.